Hello everyone and welcome back to another incredible game from the Novgorod tournament of 1994. It's world number 1 Garry Kasparov versus world number 3 Alexey Shirov at a rating of 2740. And at the time he was actually world number 2 because Kasparov wasn't really a part of FIDE, so Karpov was world number 1 and Alexey was world number 3. But, you know, for real, it's actually world number 1 versus world number 3. And sorry about only showing this game now in the tournament, as this is a game from round 1, but I thought it would be nicer that way for a couple of reasons. But it's a beautiful game, really complicated. You guys will enjoy. I mean, as what else do we expect? It's a game Kasparov with white versus Shirov with black. That can only be well for us, the viewers. So yeah, let's check it out. And we're after this game, we're also going to show one more game by Vasily Vanchuk, and then we are going to discuss the standings and maybe show one more game from the tournament. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, let's check it out. Kasparov with white opens with pawn to c4. He opts for the English opening, pawn to e5, and now knight to c3. We have bishop to b4 and knight to d5. The Kramnik-Shirov counterattack. Bishop goes back to e7. Other moves are popular. Some people play a5 here instead of bringing the bishop back. Some go knight to a6, but bishop to e7, I believe, was at the time the go-to move. We have d4, pawn to d6, and pawn to e4. We have c6, and now a trade of knight for bishop. So knight captures, queen captures, and knight to e2, and pawn to f5. And this move does not exist in the database at the time it was played, so it is now, as of move 7, that we have a completely new game. And it's a really complicated move that seemingly loses the game for black, but only if you are, you know, not human. I will show you what I mean by this. Here, d captures on e5 is played. Kasparov plays the best move, and now after queen captures on e5, Shirov is inviting Kasparov to play bishop to f4 and to go for queen captures on b2 and then bishop captures on d6. And this line is so complicated that even after I show you the top variation, you'll still will be unable to make up your mind whether it's good or bad. It's that complicated. So the idea is that after bishop to f4, queen captures on b2, you will capture on d6. Obviously, black will have some trouble castling. Knight to f6, and now rook b1. White gives up another pawn, and after queen captures on a2, knight c3, you challenge the queen, queen to a5, and now you play queen to d2. You defend your knight. You can't capture with the knight on e4 because then knight captures and you're also defending your queen, and even the king is defending the queen, so that's not really the point. But the point is that you will be able to capture back with the knight if the queen captures, and if you don't, then the queen on a5 is undefended, so you're going to have to play f captures on e4. Now c5, cementing that bishop on d6, and now pawn to b5. Bishop to e2, white will go for castling, and black will also castle artificially. For example, castles kingside, rook to e8, and look at this position. I mean, this is what you would have to evaluate. Obviously, white is better, but how much better? And well, how do you even know this if you haven't prepared it at home? Obviously, Shirov has, and Kasparov decides against this bishop to f4 move. So he plays e captures on f5, and now just knight to f6. Alexey continues developing, and Alexey was some 10 years younger than Garry. Well, he will always be 10 years younger than Garry, but he was like 21, 22 here. Kasparov was 32. We have queen to d4. Now Kasparov's king on e1, feeling a little bit vulnerable. Of course, he wants to trade queens. Bishop captures on f5. We have bishop to f4, attacking the queen, and now queen to a5 with check. Checking if Kasparov will block with the bishop, but no, he offers a queen trade, and now Alexey does trade. Queen if you don't trade, then black is just in a much worse position. Queen captures, knight captures, and castles kingside, castles queenside, and pawn to d5. Seems Shirov solved all of his problems, and he will not have any problems playing this with black. We have bishop back to d6. Kasparov goes after the rook. Rook to c8, nicely aligning the rook with the queen. See how Shirov finds these attacking ideas even with queens off the board. But Kasparov completely unfazed. Pawn to f3, and now knight b to d7. Bishop to e6 would have been a bit more precise, but I think Shirov was waiting for Kasparov to strike with pawn to g4, thinking, okay, I'm going to play bishop to e6 either way, so it doesn't really matter. So he played knight b to d7, and indeed Kasparov does go pawn to g4, bishop to e6 defending, and now pawn to g5, chasing away the knight, knight to e8, chasing away the bishop, and now Kasparov throws in a c captures on d5. Bishop to g3 is also playable. This is merely a move you include, and here Shirov has to decide whether to capture with the pawn or with the bishop. It would be better to capture with the pawn. Point being, you get a passed pawn, and after something like bishop to g3, you get the bishop out of harm's way, knight to c5, and now you really should get that king off of the c file. Let's say rook to d8, you defend your d pawn, and okay, now you get the other rook into the game. You have a past the d pawn that you can push. It's not that bad. But he played bishop captures on d5, obviously with ideas of bishop capturing on f3, and if knight captures c captures on d5, then he is already winning, because after the king moves, that bishop will also hang. So bishop to g3 by Kasparov, and now comes bishop back to e6. The strongest move by Shirov, and the bishop captures on f3 is such a long, complicated line where white seemingly wins, but also, you have to play at least 50 more moves in order to win the game. But it's interesting that these top guys can, of course, find it and just say, yeah, of course, that will be winning. But to give you an idea, point is that after captures, yes, you are attacking both of the rooks, but then comes bishop c4 check. After the king moves, you will capture on d7, and now after bishop captures on h1, you have this rook f7 move. So you're threatening checkmate, and the thing is, there's no square for this knight. This is all covered by the bishop, c7 is covered by the rook and by the bishop, f6 is covered by the pawn, so you cannot move the knight. If you move the knight, you're going to lose the knight. You have to make room for your king, and now comes rook f8 check, king h7, and bishop to d3 check, pawn to g6, and now bishop to e5, threatening rook to h8 checkmate, and now you have to move the knight. Knight to g7, but not rook f7 to be met with rook to g8. No, there is rook to f6. You go after the g6 pawn, and only now after something like knight to f5, you will capture, and after captures and captures, rook to h6 check, king to g8, g6, you will have a position such as this one, where you're threatening rook to h8 checkmate, and you will pick up all of these pawns. You can play rook to h7, you can bring the knight into the game. Doesn't matter that black has two rooks, white is now winning this. So this is something that you have to see when playing a move like bishop to g3, that captures on f3 is fine, and Alexey agrees. He plays bishop back to e6, simply defending his knight on d7. We have bishop to d3, now Kasparov develops the bishop, connects the rooks, knight to c5 goes after the light square bishop, and bishop to c2. Kasparov still has the bishop pair, of course he will not part with it lightly. Rook to d8 offering a rook trade, and now Kasparov starts pushing his kingside pawns. h4. Bishop to f7, here comes knight to e4, offering a trade of knights, which Alexey agrees, he goes for it. Knight captures, now f captures. You could also play bishop captures, f captures, now creates a pass pawn for Kasparov. King to f8, and now rook d to f1. Kasparov says, all right, we're not trading rooks. I prefer my rook on the f file. Now I might double up on the f file, push some pawns on the king side, and good luck with your king on f8. We have king back to g8, pawn to h5, and now rook to d7 and rook to f2. Now Kasparov is ready to double up on the f file, but perhaps there is something better. Here, of course, the idea is rook h to f1, and probably best for Shirov is to stop that with something like bishop to c4, although his position is already maybe even completely unmanageable, and he tries knight to d6, and it's a move that works well unless Kasparov punishes it completely. And the thing is, there are many ways to punish this move, but there is one that is particularly painful for black, so feel free to pause the video and try to actually find this one while I give you a couple of seconds. In the previous video, someone said that why am I actually waiting when I say pause the video? I don't know, it's a habit I have that sometimes I give you guys a couple of seconds maybe to decide whether we want to pause the video, but if that's a problem, like I could completely not do that. I don't know, I always thought it was a good idea. If you guys think it's unnecessary, I could just, you know, immediately continue with the video. But yeah, here the move is pawn to g6. This is what Shirov missed, and the problem is, and now I'm sure you guys see it as everything nicely connects, is that after captures on g6, bishop captures on g6, the rooks are completely controlling all of the squares that the black king can go to. So that means one little check and you lose the game. So first you capture on d6, and after rook captures, not pawn to e5, of course, that's nice, but bishop to b3 is instant resigns from black. You can only block check with rook d5 or bishop to f7, but you just start gobbling up material, and that is it. So after g6, Alexey cannot capture. He has to move the bishop yet again. Bishop to e6, and now Kasparov goes g captures on h7, where capturing again is impossible because you capture again, and if rook captures, then pawn to e5 check will win you the game again. So king to h8, and now Kasparov goes pawn to h6, opening up the position beautifully, and giving up the bishop pair so early on is not the best choice. I mean, it was an okay choice in that position, but now when Kasparov has two bishops on an open board, I think Alexey is regretting his decisions. We have pawn to g6, rook to f6 now, attacking the bishop and the pawn. Rook to e8, defending the bishop, and now rook captures on g6. We have knight to c4, trying to maybe infiltrate on d2, but Kasparov doesn't even allow that. He just brings the bishop back, bishop to e1, and he will shift it over to c3 to challenge that black king. So king captures on h7, and now rook to g3. Also, you could play e5. This is also perfectly fine, but Kasparov does not give him anything. He says, you will not have any counterplay here. Knight to e5, and now bishop to c3, attacking the knight. And if you move it, then some rook g7 check maybe could be enough to end the game. Bishop to c4 was played, and now Kasparov just played rook to g7 check, and he was in this position on move 37, that world number 2 or 3, depends on how you look at it. Alexey Shirov resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. So beautiful game, beautiful start to the tournament. Like I said, this was played in round 1, and yes, we all know Alexey Shirov to be the master of the mystic arts, especially with the black pieces. He can be extremely unpleasant. But Kasparov was the guy where you had to go to Kasparov to get your license to become a master of the mystic arts. So trying to push it like this against Kasparov, even though you're 10 years younger, didn't always work out, to say the least. And here you resign because what do you do? There's really not all that much you can do. Going king to h8 blunders the rook here, because the king on h8 will be pinned by the bishop. We can even move it if you guys don't believe me. The knight cannot move due to the bishop. And if you play rook captures, after rook captures on g7, you will play h captures. This comes with check from the rook on h1. And after king captures, you will play rook to h5. This is a key move. Without it, Kasparov does not have a win, as it seems like you can defend that knight. But after rook h5, attacking the knight again, the knight is pinned. You will play king f6, and now rook to f5 check. Forces the king away from the defense of the knight. Of course, if you go to e6, then the rook no longer is defending the knight. So you have to go somewhere, and then you just capture, and you will be up a full bishop. You have a beautiful pass pawn, completely winning. So yeah, beautiful game by both of them. Really, really resourceful play from Alexey. Even without queens on the board, he still tried to attack. He still tried to go after Kasparov's king, but like I said, not against Kasparov in 1994. So yeah, that's the game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, we're gonna check out at least one more game. No, one more for sure. It's going to be Vasily Ivanchuk versus Vladimir Kramnik, and then perhaps a couple of notable games from the tournament, and then we are going to, of course, discuss the standings as well. But yeah, beautifully played. Hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, I would like to thank Peter Van Dost, Derek King, Charles Benjamin Flynn, Diane Schwartz, and Ilya Maltsev for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.